Hey, buddy, welcome to Teaching to the Test Pattern. Today, we talk about baseball.
You can cook a shoe and it'll taste delicious. You don't even have to bring your own, he says. And that's neat. It's Tom White. This is Teaching to the Test Pattern.
It really is the most wonderful time of year. Football just wrapped up. I love football, but let's be honest, seasons are this year was pretty rough. Basketball is starting to get into its rhythm, especially the college level. You're a couple of weeks away from the start of March Madness. But most importantly, baseball season is here. And if you are a baseball fan, I love the addition of the NFHS Network, ESPN Plus, ACC Network, all of SEC Network, all of these places now that are carrying baseball and softball. For us, it's baseball season. Softball is played in the fall in Georgia at the high school level. But, man, I love this time of year for real because there's always something. College baseball starts Friday. I am so excited. Literally, I went to ESPN Plus the other day on my TV, and I was like, oh, I want to watch that one and that one and that one and that one and that one. And I was like, what are you doing? I was like, oh, I'm dreaming of baseball. I've always been a baseball fan. I've always been a sports fan. Basketball is the game I truly loved and played. But I think I'm too close to basketball to appreciate it the way that I appreciate baseball. My son plays. I really dig baseball. And I really enjoy streaming baseball. I was blessed before I started teaching to work on the Braves Radio Network for 4 or 5 years, and I got to complain about things that most people dream about. So I really do enjoy baseball, and I really enjoy teaching kids about baseball. My students know nothing about baseball. I think it's something that's across the board right now. It's not the preferred sport for a lot of our students, but I like streaming baseball, and I hope that today, when you walk away from this, that you're looking at streaming baseball a little differently. Hopefully, it inspires you to stream baseball if you're not already. Baseball is easy, but still probably the most complex sport to cover. Unlike football, which is very linear, it's right and left, and occasionally front and back a little bit. You're panning right and left for football, tilting a little bit as they come to or fro. Soccer, it's a little haphazard, but even still, it's more right and left. Basketball, tennis, those things are just arguments. It's just right and left the whole time. But baseball, you really do move in all 4 dimensions. You're moving up and down, you're moving left and right, tight shots, wide shots, all of that at its most complex. But at its simplest piece, it's really very, very simple. So I'm going to talk about 3 different scenarios that I think most high school teachers will experience when it comes to producing baseball. One is a camera with no play-by-play, just video and some graphics. One is camera with play-by-play and graphics. And then finally, I'm just going to do 2 cameras, but I will touch on 3. But 2 cameras I think is probably what most high schools will experience just because of the way it sets up. Now, with the advent of smaller, easier to use switchers, more complex switchers that are easier to price point, I think that may change over the next several years. But I definitely think right now most high schools are going to do with 1, 2, maybe 3 cameras. For most of our shows, we'll use 2 and 3 cameras. It depends on how many kids I have coming out to work. So talking about 1 camera with no play-by-play. It's a real simple setup. Wide shot, you just pull back as wide as you can get. You want to try to get first and third in the shot. And then as the play develops, you've pushed to the lead runner. So if there's a runner on first and the ball's hit, I always go to the lead runner because I think that's where the action's probably going to be most of the time. So if it's hit to shortstop, I'm not going to try to chase the ball. I'm going to go push to the runner because the runner is heading towards the action. Now, you can argue that. You can debate that. It can go either way. There are times where if there's like a superstar shortstop, I may go to the it may say if the ball's hit to shortstop, go that direction. But that's going to require my students, A, to know what the shortstop is, and B, be locked in and dialed in. And a lot of my guys right now aren't that. But you have to make that choice immediately when it comes with 1 camera. You either go to the ball or you go with the lead runner. I don't think any trailing runners matter. I don't think getting in a good tight shot behind the plate to show the strike zone matters. I think it's a wide shot and you push to the lead runner. That's what I'm going to coach my kids on. And then just make sure we have good graphics. That's the other key with baseball is it's such a statistically driven sport that people want to know what the count is. People want to know how many runs, how many hits, how many errors. And I try to make sure that we keep those up to date instantly so that the viewers at home can know without having to guess what the count is. So the other option with one camera is one camera with play-by-play. Again, this is the simplest. This is one that I often use if I'm doing a one-man show. It's easier for me if I have to one-man band it, so I'm running the graphics and it's just me. I pull back, run the graphics, and I'll do play-by-play and just describe the action. And I think that's a pretty key thing, is that your play-by-play people have to be able to sell it like it's radio because, yes, they can see it and they could really see what's happening from home plate to maybe first and third, but outside of the outfield, that's a tougher call. So if you're using that, just set a wide camera and let it ride. GoPros are great for this, especially if it's at a chain link fence. You can get something like a spider link or something like that to hang the GoPro on the fence and shoot between the slats in the fence or the wires, for lack of a better word, in the fence. And it's so simple. It's such an easy application. I think the spider links are about $60 a piece. They're great. It doesn't necessarily have to be a GoPro for the spider link. Some of your small camcorders will work as well. But it's a simple setup. It's super easy to set, and it works great if you just have one camera. If you do have a traditional camera on a tripod and you have an operator there, same thing. You can set it wide, but then if something happens, a home run, and you want to catch that home run trot or that celebration, then you have them push out the camera and get that stuff. But overall, you can really, as long as your play-by-play person can keep up with the action, you're pretty good with just that one camera set to wide, as long as that play-by-play person's there. So let's talk two cameras, and this is where you can really get into the weeds here. I'm going to talk about the simplest setup with two cameras and then the most complex setup. So the simplest setup is you have two cameras, the backstop, and one is a wide shot and the other is a tight shot. And you can set your tight to whatever you want because you have your wide as a bailout. Now, typically, if there's no runners on, I'm going to set my tight to pitcher and catcher. And then when the ball's hit, I'm going to quickly switch to the wide shot while my camera operator tries to find where the ball is or where the action is. And there's a little bit of song and dance there to get that. That's a good setup because it allows you to diversify a little bit. And if you wanted to switch that up and just lock in on pitcher catcher because you know that's where 75% of the action is and then move the other camera around, you can, but then you're dealing with, did I miss the play, did I get the play kind of stuff. So simplest setup, two cameras behind home plate, and one moves and one stays. The other setup, and this one's a little bit tricky because it requires a decent wireless system, would be to put a camera in center field. And putting a camera in center field allows you to get that pitcher-catcher look like you're used to seeing in Major League Baseball. And you can literally just set the camera to that hard shot. You don't need to chase balls. You don't need to do any of that. Put it on some sticks and lock it in, and maybe put somebody out there to keep, maybe catch a ball if it's hit towards that camera. But lock it in and just have that, and then your camera behind the plate becomes your action camera. That's the one that you're going to follow the action. So that's the two simplest with two camera setups. Now, again, center field, you're going to have to find a way to get signal back to wherever your switcher is. If you have the ability to do NDI, do NDI. But a wireless setup like an ACE 500 or some of the stuff from CMR will get the job done for you as well. Camera Motion Research is CMR, by the way. 3 cameras. This is the fun. This is where it gets really fun. So a static camera behind the plate or a camera in center field. Pitcher catcher. That's all you need. Okay. Then you have a camera on the first base side and a camera on the third base side, and spread them out as far as you can. You want to push out and get as far apart as you can so you can cover as much as you can. And then stealing from my children when they were in daycare, crisscross applesauce. So the camera that's on third base side is going to show the runner from first base to second base. And then on the first base side, it's going to be second base and third base, because you want to be able to see their face. That's very key in really all sports and all videography, is see their face and see that opened up shot. So you kind of crisscross applesauce that. Now, the other aspect of that is, so let's say you have a right-handed batter. It's kind of a cool look to shoot into the batter's box so you can see their front. So you can do that, but then your third base camera has to get, and you just have to, it's a dance. You have to figure that out, how you want to do that. If you have a left-handed batter and a runner on first, do you go with your camera on the third base side to the batter's box or first base? You just have to decide that. But really, that's your setup. Camera one would be, for me, because I think linear, so camera one would be third base, camera two would be home plate, camera three would be first base. So I would say left-handed batter, I would be on camera one on the batter, camera two would be pitcher catcher, camera three would be on a base runner, or maybe the pitcher if there's not a base runner on. And when just before the pitch is thrown, I'm going to go to camera two to get that ball coming in, and then I'm going to tell camera one to get set for something in the field. So it's a balancing game. It's a juggling match. When it comes to wiring these things, SDI, you gotta have SDI. HDMI is probably not going to give you enough footage in terms of being able to get separation on the cameras. You also need to think about XLR cables for crowd mics, for game mics. I had a conversation with one of my connections at the University of Georgia. She was asking, we produce a lot of stuff with them, and she said, I told her, hey, we're in basketball crossover, we're in wrestling crossover, we're in a weird season right now, so for a couple of shows, we're only going to have one camera. And she was like, oh, but can we just have two? And I said, it's not 1+1. It's really like 1+3, because not only do you have the extra camera, but now you have to have a switcher, you have to have extra cabling, you have to have extra power, you have to have all these extra things that you don't have to have when you just have one camera. So when you get into that 2, 3, 4 camera setup, understand that you're exponentially growing the amount of time that you're going to have to set these broadcasts up. So hopefully this helps. Again, one camera, no play-by-play, just kind of dance the dance, figure out where to chase the action, either the lead runner or the ball, wherever you think the action's going to be. Play-by-play, rely on your play-by-play. That makes it so much easier. Then 2 cameras, if you can, center field, or actually 2 cameras. The simplest setup is 2 cameras side by side behind the plate. The more complex would be 1 in center field, 1 behind the plate. And then 3 cameras, you want to split them out and go from there. So I hope you enjoy this. Hopefully you get out and shoot some baseball soon. Hopefully it's good enough weather for you. I know in Georgia today it's 39 degrees and the sun is out and it has quit raining. So that's a good thing, but it doesn't make it any warmer. The coldest I've ever been has been a high school baseball game. So hope you enjoy this. Share this with your friends. Comment. Go to Facebook. Look for Teaching to the Test Pattern. Shoot me a comment. Shoot me an email. I look forward to hearing from you, and hopefully you can go out and maybe make some awesome.
Teaching to the Test Pattern.